So 1918, the end of the First World War, is one of these turning points in German history. As of March 1918, the war seemed to be going well. Germany had signed a separate peace with the new Soviet Union. They had taken a tremendous amount of territory in Eastern Europe. They were given tremendous war reparations. They looked very, very strong. On the Western Front, they advanced very close to Paris. The German civilian population thought, any day now, we're going to win this war. And then when the American forces arrived, when the German lines were broken in northern France and Belgium, it went very, very fast. The Allies advanced so quickly that there wasn't the sort of time to intellectually grapple with this. It went from winning to losing so fast that people didn't know what was going on. And when suddenly the peace treaty was signed, people in Berlin, there were people who had only been reading, the right-wing newspapers, the conservative newspapers, giving the National Party line. They had no idea that the army was losing. They said, what happened? Someone must have betrayed us. And that was the beginning of the theories that we see leading to the anti-Semitism, to various conspiracy theories through the Weimar Republic that ended up leading to one of the many factors that emboldened the Nazis in their rise to power in the late 20s and early 30s.
1938, November 9th, marked the largest public attack on Jews in Germany under the Nazis before the Holocaust. So it's really seen as the moment when the Holocaust begins in earnest. I talked about the Night of the Broken Glass, which is often known in German as Kristallnacht, where 7,500 Jewish businesses were vandalized and looted, right? So a lot of this is about grabbing the wealth that was perceived to be part of the German Jewish community, but then, the Nazis really stoked racial hatred and let it loose and organized it on this night so that businesses were looted, synagogues were burned or at least vandalized. People were bludgeoned to death in the streets. 26,000 people were arrested and then sent to concentration camps. I told the students also that I shy away from using the term Kristallnacht because Kristallnacht was actually a Nazi propaganda term that would be the Night of Crystal. They associated crystal with the Jews, whereas we think Night of the Broken Glass, meaning the broken windows and the vandalism, right? But the Nazis used Kristallnacht because they wanted to continue to portray Jews as this wealthy population that was feeding off the German populace, taking jobs, earning money off of them in these illegal ways, and they deserved to be disenfranchised and driven out of German territory.
1968 is a year just like any other year in the calendar, but what happened in Germany during this time is when a generation of young students began to realize what their parents had done during the time of the Nazi period. So the 68ers were all born before or right after World War II, and they started to ask questions. Where have you been? What did you do? How complicit were you? What did important people do during this time? Were people that are dear to me. So, for example, when Bernhard Schlink was here talking about his novel The Reader, which we know is this love story between a young German student and an older German woman who was also complicit in war crimes or participated in war crimes, his response was, I wanted to see what happens when somebody you dearly love did something terribly, terribly horrible. And I think that was what many German students during this time had to reckon with.